welcome to another episode of Tuesday Sewing. And I thought we'd do something a little bit different from set projects today. And as we're doing the non-kit journal, the Junky Junk, I thought that I would do some slow stitch pieces to go in that journal. So if you've not seen that already, the last couple of videos, part 1 and 2, we're making a journal that's completely out of recycled packaging and papers, and not using kits, taking images out of old books from the charity shop, etc. And I thought we needed a little bit. Being me, I've got to have a bit of stitch on there somewhere. So I've gathered a few bits of out of my stash, a few little leftover bits and pieces here. And this is ideally what I would use and that's, I need to make some more of that. In fact, that's a good size for a altered paper clip. I need to make some more with our threads. So all the threads, I hope you keep in them, all the end bits of all your projects of embroidery threads, and then we could we'll make some more of this beautiful cloth, and then I put chiffon on the top with Bonder web. I'm going to take that piece out so I don't accidentally use it. So I've got some other bits and bobs. I've got some linen thread here, and I've got some chenille that I've had in my stash a long time. You can tell, look at my homemade wraparounds, rubbish. But I think that'll give a nice effect for the edgings of the pages. So just get a few scraps. There's nothing much to it, but they do look really effective. I've got this. It's dropped to bits, which is a shame, but this was part of a project that I've made with painting effects on top of fabrics and then layering them up, and some burnt fabric. And so I'm going to start off sewing them back together again. As you cut them off the big projects, the scraps, sometimes they don't hold together very well because... Ooh, I've had a thought. Is that more shine? Oh, we'll have it that way. It's got a bit more shine on that from the paint, so we will do that. So, that's all we're doing today. Go and gather yourself a few bits and turn the video off. Go and get yourself a few bits and bobs of scraps of fabric, and we will just do a little bit of sewing. Now this is pretty tough to get through because there's lots of layers, and the thing is, once you start painting on fabric, I need to write that on my list. If you'd like a video, I don't know if I've done it on camera. I know I've done a lot of bits and bobs with using Bonder web, but I'm not sure I've done this painted. It was something I did at college. So those that are new here, college sounds like I was a youngster. I wasn't. Mind you, it was probably 15 years ago. Obviously I've been a nurse for 40 years. I've now taken early retirement, and I never liked doing anything creative, sewing, art, that sort of thing, because at school we had the most awful teacher, and she was awful to me and put me off for years and years. I always said I was rubbish. So I enrolled 15 years ago into night school, as we used to call it, and I did City and Guilds in art and design and textiles, just really to get over this fear. I'm going to put a cross there, just to get over the fear of using a sewing machine and sewing, and from going back to the days when they said I was rubbish, thoroughly enjoyed it and learnt loads of different techniques. I did machine embroidery as well as hand embroidery, and also the art and design. There were lots of different techniques, and so I try to incorporate that sort of thing in my journals. I haven't done so much over the last year because we moved into a apartment, and we weren't quite ready, I don't think, for downsizing to that extent for apartment living. And there wasn't space to do half the things I wanted to do creatively. I mean, we didn't just move for that, but we moved back into Nottinghamshire where the children live. See, that's a lovely little piece. That would look really nice on the edge of a page. Let's see if I have a page here. Because I was about to put it away. Let's have a look at that. It's already got a bit of decoration on it. But look how lovely that would look on the page there. You could also use them for tabs, so whoops. You can have them at the edge, make sure there's something interesting on the back, and they look really, really nice. And another way, you know, if you haven't got any digitals, or you don't want to use digitals, or for just a nice change like I do, because I do love using digitals as well. The thing with digitals is I think we are supporting individual artists when we buy them off Etsy, etc. I don't tend to buy many paper packs off Hobbycraft and places like that. I do some, but I do like to support the creators that we have here in this community. A fraction of the cost. Right, let's have a look at this. What do we want to do here? I might just do, now if you're going through loads of layers, I think I've said this before, this is my bookbinding needle. It's massive, it's sharp, but if you're using, like, look how, this is very old, this chenille, so it's really twisted. Even if you let it go, it doesn't, you know, sometimes you let it go and it untwists. I think this is beyond. So the thing about slow stitching, it's become a bit of a thing, and it's not rocket science, and everybody thinks that slow stitching is just straight stitch. It's not. The slow stitching is the idea of doing a little bit of stitching without thinking about it. You can have it as simple or as difficult as you want, but it's all about mindfulness and getting your mind in a relaxed state of mind, you know. And this is why I love doing it. You can sit and make loads of these watching television, if, for example, and then you've got a nice stash for any of your projects. And it's about really relaxing and having a bit of me time. Now, I like that. It's only got 2 on, but I think that fits that bill. So I notice we've got our next prompt from the Roxy gang. So it is vintage. Was it vintage fabric? No, vintage embroidery. That's the title of it. Vintage embroidery. Right, next. Let's see. A nice piece. So much kinder on you if you use your bookbinding to go through really thick fabrics. You don't want to do it on fine fabrics because you'll find you can still see all the holes. Thick fabrics like this, if you've got a lot of problems with your joints, hands, etc., this is far better than lugging and tugging with needles that don't want to fit through coarse weave. We've had some really hot weather, which is the hottest we've had since June. But now we've got some rain and it's cooled it down a little bit, which, to be honest, I'm glad. Because you never sleep quite the same, do you, when it's... We're never happy, are we, about the weather? I think it must be a UK thing. Everybody that comes from other countries always say, you know, you Brits, you're obsessed with talking about the weather. I think we must be. We're never happy. Now, shall we do some French knots? I don't know if this might be too thick to do French knots. What shall we? Ooh, that's quite nice. Let's just fray that off a bit more. So it, you know, and especially if this is ideal, don't tie your knots on the back though. If you're wanting to use them as edgings, tabs, sorry, you know, you don't want all your gubbins on the back showing through. So you can in fact put all your stitches to one side and then you can fray the edge more and that could hang over the page. And to fray it, I'm not trying to tell you to suck eggs, but you get the waft and the warp and the waft and weft and the weave, is it? And you just get hold of a thread and slowly tease it out. Right, we've got a little bit there. So I thought, let's see if we can do some French knots. We'll do them down this, not near the edge, so we can, you can imagine that's going to hang over our page. Now at the moment I've got my knot on, but I'm going to do it quite loose so I can cut that off. Okay, so French knot. With these, I'm going to wrap them round once, back to nearly where you came through, and pull. They do a nice looking French knot when you've got this chenille. Wrap it round once, put your needle back nearly to where you came through, hold on to your stitch on the left until you've nearly got it through. Now if you want messy knots, you don't have to do that. I found that that's just the way for me to make sure I have a nice neat knot. But if you're doing a scratty piece and you want them all to look loop-de-loop and anything goes, then you don't have to do them so neat. But I think they're my favourite stitch French knots. I find them so relaxing. Can you see how lovely they look with the chenille? Oops. How lovely are they? So if we are, for example, going to have this on our page, and you can then cut the knot off if you don't want it to be too pull too tight, or else my knot's going to go through. Right, I'm just trying to tie this off without going through the other side. So if you don't want it too bobbly, cut your knot off at the back when you're finished, not too early, or else it'll end up coming through. So let's get back to our page. We'll have it this way, ignore what's already on it. So there, you'd have it about there. And then when you turn it over, can you see, you would still have that lovely frayed edge. This is just some fabric that I've dyed with inks. That's all that is. Right. I've got some avocado dyed linen here. Now, I'm sure there was something funny to tell you, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll be able to tell you that. And I can't think what it is now. I thought, oh, I can't wait. That'll be something for me to talk about this week on when we're sewing. and I can't think what it was. It was something funny that happened. It always happens to me in the supermarket. I don't know. Either I go into Dunelm or somewhere. Oh, look at these in down price. I love to go in down price basement. Like in IKEA, they have a down price section, don't they? And then, oh, look at these drawers. And then I'll pull it and the thing comes off in my hand. And then you're in the middle of a store looking all embarrassed. That's does that happen to anybody else? I'll say, well, this is rubbish. No wonder it's down price. Come off in my hand. So on here, I'm just doing some runners. If you want to know some different stitches, if you check out my December dailies last year, 12 days of Stitchmas, some different ideas for stitching, different stitches on there. The other, I mean, if you want to watch more impromptu sewing, which this is, now look at that. It's plain Silly Devils, but do you know what? Quite like that. We could have a bit of a ruffle situation going on there, couldn't we? And just put it on like that. So, yeah, if it doesn't want to straighten out, leave it. Oh, yeah, now, squirrel watch. Nelson and his squirrel watch. They've been little monkeys. We've got our own garden section at the back, but at the front there's this lovely lawn and trees and things for everybody that lives on the row. And the squirrels are at the side of us in this great big wooded area. Well, a few doors down, they had some couple of paddling pools out for the grandchildren. Got up early in the morning. Guess who's playing in the paddling pool? Yes, you've guessed it, the squirrels. It was driving Nelson crazy, as you can imagine, but very comical to watch, you know, very comical. They're just so funny, but yeah, I had to laugh. I think they went in more than the grandchildren did of these people. Right, that's nice. Got a bit of a ruffled edge going on there. So again, just a bit of different interest on the page. It'll still flatten down anyway when you're right. Shall we do a bit of yellow? Because I think that's the other thing, and I probably, you know, you already know this, or I've said it before. If you're using unusual threads like chenille is, and you're going through thick, coarse fabric, it gets degraded the more times you pull it through, and you can see that's quite tatty. I mean, it's old anyway. It's looking a bit that way inclined anyway. But yeah, don't flog it to death by keep making it go through, because your finished look's not going to look the same. Can't find my end. Some to it. That's the bottom piece. So where's the top piece? Is that it? I have bought some proper wraparound things. I need some larger ones, because these homemade malarkeys are rubbish. I don't think this is entirely a good piece. Let's see what else I've got. This is my other. Oh, we've got some. I know we could have that. I think last week I used some of the ribbon, or was it one of the Roxy's Journal of Stitchery? I did some ribbon, viscose ribbon. So really this is a simple concept, but it can be so effective just by changing the fabric and your thread choice. Let's have a look at this. I like that bit. See, it's frayed at that edge, and I like that bit because it's got like the seam binding on it. So let's see. Again, I'm using this massive needle because we are going through with the ribbon. I think the key to this with the ribbon is don't pull it too hard, too tight. Okay, and you don't need to be in a rush. I think that's supposed to be a relaxing thing. A bit of a pattern on there. I like doing this alternate lines. It's a very good filling stitch as well. If you're doing it, you know, you can do it in smaller threads and fill quite a large area in with it. Just makes a nice change to seed stitch. I've been watching these documentaries of steps. I love steps. My kids used to adore doing all the, you know, in the 90s, because both my boys were born in the 90s, and we used to go on holiday and they'd go to kids club and they'd always be doing all the actions to step songs, tragedy and all that. And so I've got a bit hooked on watching some of their comeback videos. And if you get a chance to watch their 2021 after the pandemic tour, as it were, at the O2 Arena in London, absolutely phenomenal. The show, the dancers, the singing, absolutely. So then I can't get these step songs out of my head, and that's all I keep singing. Da na 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 na, dee 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 dee. Beautiful voices. I never used to give them much credit, I suppose. I thought they were a bit gimmicky in the, you know, they were a pop band. They were a young set of youngsters when my boys were growing up, and they had fun with them. And but, you know, when you listen to them now, their voices are beautiful. They can sing really beautifully. And especially Claire Richards. She's just, in fact, I'm going to send for it on vinyl. She's got the most beautiful voice, and she's just released this solo album. And yeah, I think people's voices get better as they get older. If they've got good voices anyway, they just mature, don't they? It's like Shirley Bassey. I was brought up on Shirley Bassey. I've seen Shirley Bassey I don't know how many times. Very fortunate to often have front row seats at Shirley Bassey concerts back in the day when I was a child. My mum and dad were obsessed. My dad used to take his deck chair, queue up for every concert she ever had, so we could get these front row seats. She's got a phenomenal voice. She's still alive, bless her. In fact, I don't know if she's same age as my dad, 87 or 88. Amazing. Right then, what do you think? I'm really quite. I haven't got a plain page on there, but really quite excited about these, and surprising, you know, just while we've been chatting now, it's surprising how many. Now I like that on the edge, didn't I? So I'm going to do that on the edge. Don't know quite know where to put that. That'll go there, I think. Nice. I like those. Okay then, so they are today's offering for I couldn't talk then. Slow stitch, for slow stitch pieces for my non-kit journal. That took some saying, didn't it? I'm just going to carry on. It's quite relaxing just to sit here and put in a few stitches on some fabric. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe and ring the notification bell so you can get all the parts of this series, because I know people have been asking for proper junk journal series without using printables. So these will be shown how to use them in the next few weeks. So thank you very much for joining me, and take care out there. Bye for now.